Imagine a world without birds. The quiet may be nice for a second, maybe two, but soon enough you'd know that something was missing. 3 billion birds have disappeared from our skies since the 1970s. In a world without birds, what do we stand to lose? I met with Roslyn, Dakin, a biologist who studies flight behavior, to learn more about the role of birds in our ecosystem and what our environment would look like if they left.
So birds are really important to us at a functional level. We have about 500 species of birds here in Ontario, and many of them rely on insects. And there are a lot of insects that are pests. There are mosquitoes that are problematic for us to enjoy outdoors in the summer, but that also carry important diseases. There are diseases that are spread, from the tropics, that are spreading further north with climate change, that are carried by mosquitoes and ticks. Well, what are the predators of those insects? Birds.
So in other words, without birds, bugs can thrive and spread diseases all across Canada. The climate crisis adds another layer to this, as it hurts birds and helps bugs, which thrive in warmer climates. We spoke to Alessandra Kite, a bird expert who's been banding birds for the past 10 years.
A lot of the birds that are declining or that are facing the most severe declines are grassland birds and aerial insectivores.
Aerial insectivores are birds that hunt for bugs while they're flying in the air. Typically considered pests, grassland birds and aerial insectivores depend on these bugs for food.
They're the species that kind of regulate insect population, right? But we are killing all of the insects with our insecticides, or pesticides all across our agricultural land, which is a majority of our land in Canada, apart from boreal forest, which they're also logging. So they can't catch a break, honestly.
Birds have it rough. There's little to eat and fewer places to live. But how do researchers keep track of our feathered friends? One method? Bird banding. Bird banding is a practice of catching wild birds in nets, marking them with an ID bracelet, gathering data, and letting them go again. The whole process takes less than an hour. Bird banding can help estimate population size, figure out their diet, estimate lifespans, even track their migrational patterns.
Banding is the sole reason we've been able to figure out how long wild birds can live. The band is simply just an identifying feature, and it just makes sure that you're not getting repeat data from the same individual.
And this data is important considering that so many birds end up dead on their migration back up north due to window collisions. I spoke to Jamie Muse, who volunteers with a local bird welfare organization, to learn more.
Birds just don't know what glass is. Glass is just not something that they can grasp or understand. It's not a natural feature in their environment. So when they come across glass, they can't exactly tell what it is or that it's a solid thing. If you take anything out of an ecosystem, the whole thing is affected. If nothing changes, they will decline and probably become extinct.
The situation is tough, but don't get too crestfallen. There's still hope for birds, but it's up to us to make bird-friendly choices. Choices like putting decals and stickers on your windows, making them visible to birds, planting a wide variety of native plants in your garden that birds can eat, or better yet, keeping your cats inside. We need to take care of our natural world if we want to enjoy it any longer. If not, Dakin predicts this possible future.
If you imagine going out in a forest that is silent, where a forest in the spring where you don't hear birds calling and you just hear mosquitoes, that's a really horrific idea, right? So there's a real mental health benefit to being in nature, and birds are a real part of that. They're probably the most observable part of the animal kingdom that bring a lot of joy to people.
Nadia, Nikpour-Badr, 25th Hour.